Welcome to Base Space. A crypto podcast. Base Space.
What up, Christophe?
Hey, hello. You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Welcome to the Base Space. How's it going?
It's good to be here. Yeah, it's great. I also think you guys are underrated podcast.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're just having fun, man. It's like a little hobby of ours, and we're just enjoying it, man. Just spreading the education. I think education is so important right now, and there's so much development happening this cycle versus say like 2017. So many different new projects. DeFi is booming. It's an awesome space to be in.
Yeah, I confirm. Definitely. And many people also need to understand more. Even of the projects that have a great communication, you always can understand much more thanks to talks with founders.
Yeah. Absolutely. Where are you actually based at?
I'm in Singapore.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
It's 11 p.m. here.
Oh my God.
Well, we got you staying up late.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time. I'm in Colorado, so it's 8 a.m. here. So we're always dealing with these time zone shifts.
Thank you for waking up on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, thanks for staying up on a Sunday night.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Yeah, so anytime we bring on like a new guest, I always like to get their background and like how you actually got started in crypto.
Yeah. Good question. I think I've been an entrepreneur for 7 or 8 years, and the first company that I co-founded was in 2014, and it was a company in the international money transfer business. So basically, we were doing money transfers from China to Europe, from Mexico to Europe, and we used Bitcoin for that in 2014. And that with this company actually that we went through the Y Combinator in San Francisco, but that's basically how we got into it. We wanted to improve the money transfer industry. We found out that Bitcoin was a great solution for money transfers, and used it together with the bank systems. And that's what we did from 2014 to 2017.
That's awesome. That's really cool that you were in it so early. Then what kind of led you to go into founding Request?
Good question. What was really interesting with being early in this business is that we basically were only dealing with centralized exchanges at the time, because the first decentralized exchanges happened to go live in 2017, maybe 2016. And so basically we tried to connect with the old banking and centralized industries, and realized that crypto and the banking system don't work well together. So among the other learning that we had, and especially because when we were at Y Combinator, we challenged a lot our ideas. The money transfer business that we had built had 1,000 daily users, and actually 100% of them had an invoice to pay in a different country, in a different currency. So with a Request, actually, we just pivoted. With the Request, we're building a cross-currency invoicing system. It's a blockchain agnostic technology that connects with many payment networks, including many blockchain protocols. And that's basically what makes sense to make the money transfer industry disappear. Because basically this industry, I don't know if you know about remittance, but basically if you're in the US and you want to send money to another country, you're basically gonna pay 5% in fees. And it's also gonna take 2 to 7 days. And actually this money transfer industry, to me, should not exist. it only exists because the banking system is inefficient, and the crypto industry is actually helping a lot. But we are solving a part of the money transfer industry at the invoice level, so at the payment request level.
Wow, I didn't realize the fee was 5%. That's pretty wild just to send money from point A to point B.
Depends which country, of course. If you send to Africa, it's gonna cost 12%. If you send to France, you can find a good deal at 1% or something like that. Depends on the amount as well.
Yeah, maybe like who's coming up with these percentages? I mean, because 12%, that seems like a pretty hefty tax.
Yeah, the leader in the money transfer industry was Western Union, and basically they were hiding fees. So people who were transferring money, they did not know that they're paying that much. And one of the reasons why they needed to charge is because the currencies of the different countries are volatile. So basically, South America, Africa, South Asia, they had the volatile currencies, and companies like Western Union did not want to take any risk. They were hiding fees. They're still hiding fees in the exchange rate, and that's how they managed to take such a big tax.
Is there like legal ramifications for that, or they're allowed to take that much fees and be secretive about it?
Yeah, it's legal because there is an asterisk. Yeah, if there's an asterisk, you see that basically you send $10,000 to France, and you're gonna receive 7,000 euros, and you're like, okay. And actually, they take 5%. You just don't realize because it's hidden in the exchange rate.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about DeFi, right? You can literally pay tenths of a cent for a transaction.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's also and DeFi is there for smart people, and it's transparent because it's led by smart customers, smart users. So DeFi is so open, so transparent that it really makes such old and a tricky industry very unlikely to keep being to keep behaving well. Yeah, we'll see. But even right now with stablecoins, most businesses use stablecoins to transfer money or to pay invoices. And stablecoins it still costs nothing, even if you use Ethereum blockchain. And it's gonna take just a few minutes to be transferred. And more than that, you've got transparency over the transfer. So like you know where the money is at every minute. So that's much better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think diving into request a little bit now. What payment networks are actually available through request?
Okay, so you're speaking about the different blockchain networks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, just to put things into the context, request, basically the name request is because it's a payment request technology. It's a protocol that detects payments, and yes, it detects payments on other blockchains as well. So because it's a payment request technology, basically everyone who wants to get paid for his salary, for expenses, for an invoice, is going to send a payment request. It's going to be a crypto payment request, and can receive or get paid in different networks. So the one we've got right now, it's of course Ethereum and ERC20s, but also Polygon. We've got Phantom, Near Protocol, Celo, Zilliqa, Binance Smart Chain recently, and Fuse, and maybe I forget some of them. But basically, every time we've got a request from a potential big user or big ecosystem like Celo ecosystem, then we integrate the payment network with request technology so that people using the Celo system can send each other payment request and get paid in a very easy way.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Christo, I'm actually curious if you could explain for people that don't know the difference between invoicing and electronic document management. Could you kind of explain the difference between those two?
So electronic document management is, so the way I see it, so basically I'm not going to give a 100% accurate answer, but maybe a bit caricatural. Electronic document management is for companies who receive mails, like paper mails, like letters, and they're going to scan it and they're going to send it by email to someone who is going to be able to visually it as a PDF in his emails. So the problem is it's an inefficient transformation process for big old corporations. And it's the very, very first step for them to become digital. It's going to be very challenging for such companies to become digital if they're struggling there. But it's a big subject of digital transformation. While e-invoicing is a bit different. So e-invoicing, if I take a view at the world of e-invoicing is mostly governments, their suppliers, and some big corporations and their own suppliers who have e-invoicing. So basically, instead of sending each other a PDF that is an invoice by email, they're going to send each other data. So they're actually going to make sure that their accounting and invoicing system interacts with the accounting and invoicing system of the other person. So if I take the United States, the government, they've got an accounting system. And if you are a supplier for the government, so if you're doing a job as a data scientist for the government, then you send an invoice and you need to use their tool or be compatible with their tool. So you send them data. So they don't receive a letter, they don't scan it, they receive invoicing data that is automatically going to go into their accounting. But there's a problem as well with this. There are two problems. First, it does not handle payments at all. So you still have like invoices in the system. That's great because your invoices interact with the invoices of another system, but your invoices don't match with the bank statements. Those are two different siloed systems. So that's the first big problem. It's that it's only a partial solution. And the second big problem is actually the biggest one is that it only exist for very big companies, governments and very big companies. But what about all the SMBs who need to spend 3 weeks a year on the bookkeeping because they need to do everything manually? So basically, we need something a bit better. Those two concepts, electronic document management and e-invoicing, are about digital transformation. So it's mostly like you look at big and old companies. So some are small and old companies as well. And they need to do this digital transformation. But with request, we are doing disruption. That's a bit different. It's, in my opinion, obviously, it's better than e-invoicing because we are building an ecosystem of applications that work together, like by default, in an automated way and for payment requests. So basically, instead of having to change everything to be digital and to make systems work together, we just have a system where everything is working together by default.
Sweet. So it basically just helps onboarding. That's super good.
Yeah.
Could you explain what the request token does? You know, the REQ token, and like what its utility is.
So the REQ token is a deflationary token. So same way as Bitcoin is deflationary, but Ethereum is deflationary if there is a great adoption. So for the REQ token, it's the same. If there is a great adoption, there's a burn, same as Ethereum, that makes it deflationary. The reason why there is a burn is because the burn actually serves as an anti-spam so that you don't receive payment requests from everyone around the world who tries to get paid by you. So like every time someone sends a paid request, there is like a few cents of fee that is taken in a REQ and burnt. So the number of REQ is decreasing over time. If it's decreasing over time, that means that the price appreciates. But so far, the growth is quite good. The effects of the burns, it's a good question. There's some correlation between the increasing price of the REQ token and the adoption, because we went from one business using request app last year to a bit more than 900 today, including Aave, Maker, the Graph, Ocean. And basically there is correlation, but we can't really measure how much effect it got. And two other things. The REQ token is it's also a token that we've gotten that we send to users, so as a reward, so that the users can vote and prioritize the features, for example. So we try to build an ecosystem rather than just a simple app. So basically, yes, there's governance, rewards. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Another, sorry, thinking also, another project also in terms of governance is that we plan to transform request into a DAO step by step. And so the governance is going to play a bigger and bigger role over time. And that's, in my opinion, that's going to be the biggest use of the REQ token.
Is your DAO? Yeah, that makes sense. We kind of see this narrative forming, right? Like with Ohm, the DAOs, and I believe even GDAO. And there's multiple others, right? There's a lot of DAOs, but that can be extremely powerful in deciding on how the protocol is developed and just the future of the protocol. So that'll be super interesting to see you guys set your DAO up.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a few years because to us, setting up a DAO is something that we can do once the ecosystem is thriving. And before that, we need to make it thrive. So we are first working on making everything work very well, and then the funds basically will be held by the community.
That's awesome. Kind of diving into some of the use cases of requests. I know we kind of touched on the invoices previously. I was curious if you could touch on like what a compliant like invoice means, and if there are, I don't know, like certain rules associated with being a compliant invoice or issuing a compliant invoice.
Yes, there are. So if someone has got is a business owner here, or just doing freelance work, or even just getting grants, actually just receiving tokens is not enough for the government. So basically the tax authorities, they're not okay with just receiving money. They want a document as a proof. And the companies, so like if I take the example of Aave or Maker Foundation, basically those are there are companies behind the project, and they need to do their bookkeeping, and they need to have an external accountant validate the account, and they need to have the auditor validate the account. They also need the authorities to validate the account. Actually, if you've got only transactions in crypto, it's going to be a mess, like a nightmare for the finance persons in the team. And over the last 2 years, what we noticed is that there's been more and more people, like finance persons, hired in the crypto native companies. And they basically need to make things right. And making things right is for every payment and every payment request, actually, or maybe for every payment, you need to have a payment request. For every payment and payment request, you need to have a document. And an invoice, basically, if you do an invoice in the US, it's going to be a bit different than an invoice in France, which is itself going to be a bit different than an invoice in India, because there are different rules, and almost every country has got its own rules. So what we are doing is we're building an invoicing tool that is international. And it's international, basically it's flexible, so that if you've got specific rules in your country, you can adapt. And basically you go on invoicing.request.network, you send an invoice to an email, You explain how much it is. You put the invoice, basically you denominate it in US dollar because your books are in US dollar. You ask to be paid in, I don't know, DAI or USDC, and the payer will receive the email in one click. He clicks on the invoice, he pays it, and you receive the funds. He can also pay it in a different currency, so that's a cross-currency invoice. No need for money transfer anymore. And what else? That's pretty much it. Then I can go into more details.
Got it. So it sounds like you guys do have some sort of invoice builder where you could customize what the invoice looks like, what type of information is present on the invoice. You could adapt to different country requirements. Is that correct?
That's an excellent concept, the invoice builder, but that's today it's just like blank fields that you can fill with your specific details for your country. So today it's much more simple than that. But yeah, that's a great idea. Invoice builder would look really great.
I'm curious. Are you planning to integrate with systems like DocuSign and other contract-based systems, or are you going to create your own system to sign contracts and then issue invoices?
That's a very good point. So there's a blockchain DocuSign. It's called Sign Request, by the way, but it's not affiliated with what we do. But at the moment, we don't prioritize. So we have it on the backlog, but we don't prioritize it because it's not the biggest needs of our users. Our users' biggest needs are more payment networks, so more blockchains, maybe Avalanche or others. And but this idea actually is something that we've thought about. Is basically you sign a contract with another business. So you are in the US, you're the client, and you've got a Chinese supplier. You sign a contract with them. It's totally like online. It's like a smart contract for legal stuff. And the contract is gonna give the rules for the invoices. And there's just gonna be workflows and payments, and almost everything could be automated, from the invoice creation to the invoice payment to the bookkeeping and tax declaration and tax payments. We're not there yet, but I think that might be where we're heading.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. You're definitely going to save companies a lot of time and money. So I could definitely see the value of the tools that you guys are creating. I know you're working on request finance, and that's kind of, from my understanding, like a software suite of tools. Could you kind of go into like what is part of request finance and like what tools will be available within that suite?
So first, I'm gonna explain what is the difference between request finance and request create. So request finance is an app that is not 100% decentralized, but that relies at 100% on a decentralized technology or payment request technology, while request create is a 100% decentralized app. And request finance has seen a huge growth. So like from a one business client to more than 900 in 1 year, because it enables businesses to pay all their payment requests in one place and all at the same time, like mass payments as well. So basically, if you are a CFO, for example, at let's say Ethereum Foundation, that is not a client to my knowledge, or not for 100% of their flows for sure. So let's say the CFO, the finance manager of Ethereum Foundation pays invoices, but also salaries and also expenses. Basically, with request finance, he can have all of them in the same dashboard and pay 300 payment requests in one click. So that's more or less the value that we bring. It's compliant, it's easy, it's convenient, it's automated.
Yeah. That's incredible in terms of the speed and the time to execute that. And it's not just invoices, right? Like you guys are able to pay other types of business expenses to the software, and you're able to pay employee salaries, correct?
Yes. So if you are, so basically you, as an employee, you can sign up to request.finance and get paid in crypto for your salary by sending your your salary payment request to your employer. The same applies for expenses. And last but not least, but it's only available in the Eurozone at the moment. It's basically you can already get paid by your employer in crypto while your employer pays in euros. So that's the fiat to crypto feature that we just launched. And what's really interesting is that your bank, if your bank pays on a specific bank details, or I mean, if you're working at a bank, you are a banker, you can get paid 100% in crypto without your bank knowing. Because your bank is going to pay to some bank details, and when the money is received on the bank account, it's automatically transformed into a stablecoin. So you receive a stablecoin even though your clients or employers are not crypto friendly.
No way, super. You could use that feature, bro.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's actually.
Oh, I didn't know if you were saying something else,
Oh,
super.
no, I was just saying that was interesting.
Oh, okay, you gotta cut it out. Yeah, no worries. I also saw that you guys are launching a bunch of new features, including the escrow system. I was kind of curious, like, how are you guys going to guarantee that the client has put that money aside for the escrow system, and does request actually hold those funds themselves within a contract, or how's that setup going to work?
Okay, so first I'm going to explain what is escrow for invoices. So basically, if I take the example of a US-based client who is dealing with a China-based supplier, the Chinese supplier does not want to start working if you don't pay first, and the US client does not want to pay if the Chinese supplier does not work first. So basically, there's a problem, and there are many business relationships that cannot happen. One way for them to happen is to use services like Fiverr or Upwork, where basically Fiverr or Upwork, they're gonna, as a financial entity, they're gonna receive your money, so the money of the client. They're gonna tell the supplier in China, hey guys, we have received the money from the client. You can start working. If you work well, we're gonna send you your money. If you don't, we're gonna resolve the dispute. Fiverr and Upwork, they take 10 to 30% of the amount of the invoice. So basically, you send a $1,000 invoice, and Fiverr and Upwork, they're gonna take up to $300 for this service. And we are going to replace the financial institutions like Upwork and Fiverr in these cases with a smart contract. So we replace more or less banks with code. And how we do that? It's a smart contract that we don't own. It's a smart contract where the rules are preset. So basically, the client sends the money to a smart contract, and then it could be very, very simple. You send the money to the smart contract, and the condition is the money will be released to the supplier if I approve, so if the client approves, and it will not be released to anyone for 1 year if I don't approve. So after 1 year, it's going to go back to the client. So basically, in this case, that already solved like 80% of the challenges, and it's very, very simple. And then there's another case where there's dispute resolution and the money never goes back to the client. It's just like there needs to be a resolution of a dispute. And there's a Kleros. It's a decentralized dispute resolution system with which we can integrate for this part. So the answer to your question is no, we will never hold the fence. It will be a smart contract. And how we manage the conditions will be preset, and thanks to decentralized dispute resolution systems.
Very cool. Very, very, very cool. Yeah, I definitely see this feature being really big with your current clients, and I could definitely see it being important for larger contracts where you kind of want some payment, right, to be put aside up front, especially if you're working with like an anonymous party, which is really big in this space. So, yeah, that's awesome. And I also saw that you were working on a payment reputation system. And I was just curious if you could share any details around how the system would work. Is there going to be like a score that you're assigned? Like if you have a request account, will you have like almost like a reputation score when you log in? Yeah, curious.
The reputation system is one of the things that I find the most exciting. Also because to me it's a pillar to enable other use cases. But I'm going to talk about the reputation system first. Basically, the transactions happen on chain. So on chain, the amounts, the Ethereum, the addresses, the amounts, and the date is more or less something that we can see. So for every user of the decentralized payment request network, we can see if the payment requests have been paid on time or not on time, or even not paid at all. We cannot see who did not pay on time, but basically to be straight to the point, as a user on request finance today, you can already see your own reputation. At the moment, no one else than yourself can see it, but you can see your own reputation as a payer. If you pay everything on time, so basically you receive an invoice you're supposed to pay within 30 days. If you always pay 100% of the invoice within 30 days, then you have a 5 stars reputation. And why it's very exciting to me, it's because let's say you are a freelancer and you send your invoice for 10,000 to Maker Foundation, and Maker Foundation has a 5-star reputation, and Maker Foundation accepted your invoice. So they clicked on I approve. So basically when they click on I approve, they say, I'm going to pay within 30 days. We can algorithmically be like 99% sure that the invoice is going to be paid in 30 days. So the person who sent the invoice can get financing early, like immediately after sending out the invoice, could get the financing for this invoice. And it can be like instant, and that's something that can solve the invoice financing challenge, where basically, the reason why most SMBs and startups die is because they need cash. And most of them, they have invoices and they're supposed to receive cash in the near future, but they still die because they can't pay the salaries. And if they could get access to financing a bit easier with an algorithm that does instant financing, then that would save many of them. And that would help, especially in our context.
Yeah. No, this is super exciting and super cool. With the reputation system, are you going to be able to see how many invoices have actually been paid? Because I could see like, hey, someone just pays one invoice and then they have 5 stars or whatever. Are you going to be able to see like, hey, they've actually completed 10,000 or 100,000 transactions?
No, definitely. The number, volume, and whether it's on time or not.
Yeah. I think this is going to be huge for your platform. No, this is awesome.
Yeah,
it brings that layer of accountability too, right? So now you can see who's paying on time and who's not. So,
yes, and that's great for fairness. When I was let's say more than 10 years ago, I was a CFO, a finance officer in a Swiss multinational. We always paid late because we were growing very fast. And so we decided we would always pay very late. And basically, we were not fair. But there's nothing in the market it's not a problem if you don't pay on time, actually. So the ones who are fair, they should be rewarded for it. So that's something that is very, very good for fairness.
Yeah. I 100% agree because I do partnerships for a living and I have to deal with a lot of different clients and businesses. And yeah, some of them will like purposely like you'll agree to 30-day terms and they'll pay you in 60 days, right? Or they'll try and swap around the agreement and really you don't have too much recourse that you could really do, against these type of people. Unless they just don't pay at all, right? You have to get into a lawsuit and everything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. There's nothing you can do actually. You can just wait.
Yeah, it sucks. It's awful. Yeah, so I think this system it creates like that extra level of transparency that we just don't have today when available. So this I think is going to be huge for any type of business and partnership.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the pillars to build something that is so useful that it's going to be huge. Yes.
Yeah, I'm curious if you guys are I don't know, planning to expand this out in terms of having like a widget that startups could display on their website or things like that to kind of highlight their reputation score more publicly. Um, any thoughts around that? Like almost like creating like a
That's a
badge
good
or
point.
like a widget.
No, that's an excellent point actually. Yes, why not? Actually, if you look today at the crypto ecosystem, it's actually there are two different atmospheres. There are the shady business relationships and transactions where you basically don't even know who you're dealing with and you're probably not getting paid, like you're really unsure. And there are the reputable foundations and crypto native companies that are paying on time and very well. The ones who are paying very well, actually, ideally, they should show that they pay well. That they pay on time, because when you are a freelancer, basically it's a very, very important decision to decide if you're gonna start working with this client or this other client. And if you know already that this other client is paying on time and is a 5-star reputation, while the other one is not showing his reputation or does not want to show it, then it's much safer for you to work with a reputable company. So that should be something that they can show, and maybe as a widget, maybe in the contract. Maybe when you sign the business contract, you could send a link to your reputation. That would make sense.
Yeah, and I'm also just thinking about like from like an investor standpoint, as an investor of some like really startup type crypto projects, I would like to know, hey, are they actually paying their invoices on time? And it would give like an extra layer to what's happening behind the scenes of the projects. Are these payment scores going to be publicly available in terms of like a directory where I could go and look up X project and see if they're paying their invoices on time, or is it going to be behind kind of like a login wall where I would need to have like a request account in order to see those scores?
No, you won't need a request account, but you're gonna have just so if you have a directory, you're gonna have access to a pseudonymous reputation table. You see what I mean? You're just gonna see not name of the company, unless this decide that they share it with the world. So by default, it's gonna be pseudonymous, and upon acceptation, it's gonna be public.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I know you guys have a lot of partnerships, obviously, that are happening. I was curious if you could dive into maybe one or two of them, and how maybe they're using requests currently. I saw that you guys were partnered with Ocean. was curious like how they're integrating with request. Not sure if you know offhand.
Yeah, sure. Basically, I guess I can share what's public. So if I'm not wrong, Ocean is distributing grants, and they decided to use request finance for all their grants. So now for every grantee, they need to use a request finance, send a payment request to the Ocean people who are going to deal with the payment request. And it's so there's a public page on the Ocean website that describes the process. It's very simple. And what's also interesting is that they can you just click on a button and your invoice is pre-created to Ocean details. So the email address that they want to receive it to, and so on. So that's very convenient for them to distribute grants. I think Maker were the first user of the request.finance app, and they did exactly this as well. Is public process all grantees through request, because it's quite convenient for their finance persons.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect use case. Of requests and making it easy to pay out grants. I think that's perfect. I'll ask one more partnership to see if you could talk about it. I was kind of curious around like Aave. I saw was on the list.
Yeah, it's because I love Aave.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of this project. I think Aave and Gnosis are among the ones that I prefer, and they've been here for a very long time. I don't know if people remember, but Aave was before it was ETHLend, and they renamed to Aave, and that's how it started to become a big thing. No, I think Aave are using a request for probably all their payment requests. So probably all their staff, freelancers, suppliers, grantees, just everything. We're in touch with a few people at Aave, and they're basically having a good time with the product because it's very, very convenient. And they're also, so I will let them speak about it, but I think they trust in the future, and how much more it's going to become, because right now we believe we've made only like 1% of our vision, so they're in it for a very long time. And Gnosis, there's a dual partnership with them, so they're paying grants, I think, the same way as most of our users, with a more or less a public process as well. And we are also integrating with Gnosis Safe. So the Gnosis Safe is the multi-sig wallet that even Vitalik Buterin is using to hold its funds. And we use the Gnosis Safe to batch payments. So basically, if you want to pay 200 invoices at the same time, you would use an integration with the Gnosis Safe. It's very secure. It's 100% decentralized. It's really a good example of DeFi products working well together.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Hey, Christophe. So rotating back on DAOs, right?
Yeah.
Mewtwo, you just chop that one off. So how would with a DAO, how would you, I guess, choose who controls the data, right? Because I mean, the DAO, obviously, you take a vote on it. So say the DAO's vote goes against like what you at Request Network want to do. How would you go about that, or what are some systems that you'd put in place before you guys created DAO that kind of would stop, I guess, people from the DAO ruining the protocol? Is what I'm trying to say.
Let me reformulate because I'm not sure if I understood the question. You basically you would like me to describe how it would work for a DAO to integrate with a request network?
Yeah. Yes.
So Okay, most of so as Mewtwo said earlier, there are many types of DAOs. I'd say who have off-chain voting systems. It's basically the way they work is the same as companies. It's just that the decisions are taken by the community. So I guess what you would like me to describe is how it would work with a DAO that is fully with on-chain voting, where you basically you vote the Aragon or DAO stacks DAOs. You vote and that launch the payments of payment request. So we need, because that's something that's not live yet, we need to integrate with the DAO system. So this could be with Aragon, could be with DAO stack or with others. And we integrate in a way that we predefine at the DAO level and in the vote that when we validate that such a payment request will be, we integrate in a way that when there is a payment request that is sent to the DAO, then there is a vote, and then the vote is launching an approval of the invoice. And after the approval, the payment happens automatically at the due date. We can predefine that. That's fine. Or we could also see it in another way that is even more automated, is that for this specific person or this specific company, when they send an invoice, if that's an invoice that is below this amount and that the DAO does not vote against this the payment, then the payment happens automatically. So there's both things that could work, but we don't have an automated integration with DAOs yet.
Sweet. Thank you for answering that. And also, I had another question. Are you guys currently hiring? Because I know a lot of people in the crypto space are looking for jobs in the industry and just don't know where to look. And we tell them quite often that, almost every protocol we bring on is hiring or looking for an extra hand.
Yeah, so we are definitely hiring, and it's challenging because we are hunting because it's challenging to get many good engineers, but we're hiring all types of IT engineers like blockchain, mobile, backend, full stack, DeFi, like everything, even white hackers for security. So basically, on the website you can contact if there are people in the group who would like to try and apply. But I need to tell in advance there are too many French people in the world, but also in the company. So like I think we are like more than 50% who are French people, and so they're the baguette culture.
You heard that. If you're French, you can't get a job, but but any other nationality, got it.
No. It's rather the opposite. We try to hire non-French people because we have too many. And actually, we're also hiring a product growth manager, product designer, community managers. So yeah, we're expanding, definitely.
Perfect. You guys heard that. If you're listening, whether it's on Twitter or if you're listening to this on YouTube, they are hiring. So just go to their site if you're looking for a job in the industry. And Christophe, for 2022, can you kind of elaborate on what Quest is looking to do during 2022, kind of like a roadmap?
Okay, so we don't believe in the roadmap.
Yeah,
but,
I can't get a ton of info, but
but I'm gonna tell a few the main milestone that we will reach in 2022. The mother. It's probably than businesses similar to Aave, Maker, Gnosis, and so on. So that's a great thing. So it's a milestone in terms of adoption. To reach such a milestone, that means that we've done a good job in terms of product. And the product is something that we want to improve with two things that we talked about earlier. Escrow, that's going to go live early 2022, and invoice financing that depends on the reputation progress, but is also going to make probably an interesting milestone next year. And next year is in 7 weeks now. And two other things. the ecosystem development. So we want to partner with more entrepreneurs who are building invoicing, salaries, expenses apps. So invoice financing or even reputation use cases. So that's something that we're gonna speed up. And the last but not least is that the REQ token economics today are not bad, but we are thinking of improvements, and we will implement improvements next year. Yes.
That's sweet. That's sweet. And more of a long-term question, and this will be our last one, and maybe we can go to community questions. But where do you see Request Network in maybe like the next 3 to 5 years, as we, as DeFi and blockchain in general gets more adoption?
Okay, I'm gonna answer in two ways. The first way is the different blockchains. They are mostly about push payments. So you send a payment somewhere, or you send a trade and you receive a token in exchange. It's really about like pushing information and payments. And Request Network is about pooling payments, and it's agnostic, blockchain agnostic. It works with all blockchains, or it can work with all blockchains. Today, it's like something like 5 or 10. So we see Request as even wider network, so connecting to all major blockchains in the world. That's probably like hundreds. And how it would work in terms of adoption. So we often talk about PayPal, and Request Network is also seen as a PayPal 2.0. Because PayPal initially launched as an invoicing, as an online invoicing and payment system. And Request Network is also an online invoicing and payment system, with a very big difference is that the database is a decentralized payment request one. And this difference makes an ecosystem possible with great products that work together. So how I see the future is I see many small baby PayPal, baby Stripe, baby accounting software, and baby invoicing tools, which are going to be built on top of Request Network technology, and are going to thrive and become as big as those closed, siloed, centralized capitalistic systems that Stripe and PayPal are. And I see this interoperability economy thriving because there's a new era of capitalism. It's an era of cooperative capitalism, Legos, and that's something that is very promising because the user is going to be king. The experience is for the users. The user can change from an app to another easily, rather than the way it is today.
I totally agree that UI and UX is crucial for onboarding new people, because a lot of people want just like a simple click, right? And they're using the software, the app, or the DApp. They don't want to have to like download MetaMask and then connect to 3 different. But
definitely, UX is key.
Go ahead, my bad.
No, please.
So another question that kind of spawned after you said like PayPal or Stripe, are you guys planning on coming out with a mobile app?
Yes. Yeah, we are also hiring mobile engineers.
Sweet. Well, here at Base Space, definitely like we want to track your your progress and your success, and we're just super happy to have you on. And I was wondering, at the end, we usually do community questions. Are you up to maybe take a few questions from the crowd?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. If anybody wants to request and Christophe a question, just go ahead and we'll let you up one at a time. I know I remember seeing someone request for one.
Yeah, let's just give it a few seconds here. Sometimes it's laggy. But Christophe, in the meantime, thank you for just taking the time to come on and speak to us. I know it's super late your time.
It's fine. No worry. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, like I said earlier, you're welcome anytime.
Yeah, I don't think we have any questions. Super. I think we could wrap it up.
Yeah.
We could wrap it up here. Christophe, we do record these. Are you cool with us posting it up on YouTube?
Yes, please do.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Sure.
And yeah, just again, really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
And thank you for taking the time as well, and thank you for everyone who joined tonight or today. It's a pleasure.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it up here. Look out for more episodes. We'll definitely be announcing another episode Monday or Tuesday this week. So stay on the alert, and everyone stay based and have a nice weekend.
Okay, great.